Hello, America. This is Ask a Lawyer. You guys know me, Jonathan Arias, but you might not know this handsome, strapping young man here. His name is Brett Trembly, and he runs the Trembly Law Firm. And today on Ask a Lawyer, we're going to be talking about operating agreements. Last week, we talked about, we touched on it a little bit as far as starting a business. We talked about operating agreements a little bit and why they're necessary. Brett's going to go into it a little bit more.
If you're the sole owner of a business, meaning if you are a single member LLC, for example, it's just you. There's no rights to ascertain between me, myself, and I. You're the owner, you get the profits, you take on the responsibility, the risk, etc. But anytime you add just one more person, it could be 10 more, it could be 100 more, but even one more person, it is a huge mistake, albeit very common, to go into business without an operating agreement. So, what is an operating agreement?
Yeah, that was my next question.
That is the document which states who has ownership in the company, how much ownership, what type of ownership. Do you own 10% of the company but you can't make any decisions or vote? You've heard of Class A stock or Class B stock. That's typically, if we're using the correct vernacular, if it's a corporation, it's a shareholders agreement. If it's an LLC, it's an operating agreement, but kind of the same principles. So you and I, Jonathan, we decided to start a company, and at that time, we're both gung-ho.
Yeah.
We're going to each own 50-50, and we're going to just work it like crazy. Well, things change, life happens, my interests may change, your interests may change. All of a sudden, I'm working 80 hours a week in the business and you're nowhere to be found. So I get mad. Well, heck with Jonathan, I deserve more of the business because I'm the one working the business. So then I go see an attorney and I state my complaints and I'm asked, well, what does it say in your operating agreement? Because working for the company is different than owning the company. If you and I each own 50% of the company, we have to share, we should share in distributions and profits, but whoever's working for the company should be compensated for that work. Two separate concepts. So we'll have, this happens all the time. You know, I'm working, they're not there, I want to kick them out of the company. Well, you can't, you don't have a right to, and they're entitled to their 50% of distribution because they own 50% of the company and you can't change that. What we can do is try to structure your compensation so that you're actually getting paid, and then on the back end you're splitting 50-50.
Brilliant. So he's a brilliant lawyer. So check this out. A lot of people are starting family businesses. Do I need an operating agreement if I'm just starting this business with my dad, with my brother, with my wife? With my wife. She's flesh. We're one flesh. What about then, Brett?
What do you think?
I think I know, but I don't know if America knows, and America wants to hear it from Brett Trembly.
Family disputes are tough, and in order to have as painless of a legal breakup or a business breakup with a mother or father, if you have everything spelled out in an operating agreement, you can point to the document and say, look, this is not personal. This is what we agreed to because it's in the best interest of the company. So it's right here in writing, we need to follow this. Instead of, well, I'm upset today, so I want to do this. And then it becomes about the emotions and people take things personally. If you spell it all out in writing, you can avoid a lot of the heartache. And for that reason alone, I would say absolutely you need one. But disputes, just had somebody in here last week that his parents wanted to take the business one way, he wanted to take it the other, so we got to work that out. And that's why you want an operating agreement to help you resolve those kind of disputes.
So even if it's with your wife?
Even if it's with your wife, especially because if you don't have something in writing, what happens? You know, if you get divorced, obviously we're attorneys. We're probably
bingo. That's what I wanted to get to that.
A little closer to the neither one of us practice, you know, family law or divorce, but we have friends that do, so we see how, you know, disputes get out of hand and how common it is for for marital disputes, and you want to have as much in writing as possible.
Right. So give me your craziest story of something that happened with an operating agreement.
Well,
I need some drama. America loves drama.
That's true. That's true. Everyone does. I was representing 3 clients. There were 3 brothers.
Oh,
and
family.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Here we go.
And a 4th brother. Well, they all started the business together.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4th brother put himself as president. Something happens. I don't quite remember if it was a personal issue mixed in with a little bit of an immigration issue, but the 4th brother disappeared. Okay?
Oh, crap.
So the 3 brothers worked the business for about 8 years. We're not talking like months, we're talking 8 full years. The 4th brother comes back, and he's the oldest brother, by the way, comes back and says, "Thanks for running my business all this time. It's my business, and I'm ready to take it back over." In other words, he wasn't, well, I own 25% of this business. He just flat out said, "I own 100% of the business.
Oh, man.
Go look at SunBiz, etc." I mean, SunBiz is worthless to prove or rely upon.
Right.
Well, I'm on SunBiz. It doesn't mean anything. That's why you have to have your other legal documents in place, your operating agreement.
SunBiz is where you filed your incorporating documents when you're first starting a business. DT Dubs.
In Florida, exactly.
In Florida, it's
Yeah.
sunbiz.org. But anyhow, so continue.
Yeah. So
It's getting juicy.
yeah. So comes back in, physically forces my guys out, locks the door.
Physically forced.
Yeah. Locks the door and sleeps there and starts running the shop.
What the?
And
You don't have to get too specific, but what kind of business? It was a business where obviously the physical location mattered.
yeah, because they had equipment. I can't tell you the type
Yeah,
of
right.
business.
That's understood.
I mean, look, it's public filings, but
No,
So,
understood. But it was okay. So, he was
we
there.
had to file a complaint
Yeah.
with an emergency motion for injunctive
Injunction,
relief,
right?
and ask the court to reinstitute our clients as the rightful owners and operators of the business. On a 2 or 3 hour evidentiary hearing like that, the court can't get the entire story, but usually they can tell who's telling more of the truth than the other.
Right.
Or they'll appoint a receiver, which is very expensive. These clients were of little means in the first place, so it was expensive for them and it was a nightmare. We ended up winning the case. They appealed. We won that anyway, but it was expensive, and unfortunately, it cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And if we had had proper legal documents in place 8 to 10 years ago, we could have avoided 90% of what we went through.
Wow. The power of an operating agreement.
Cannot
See an
be
attorney
overstated.
when you're starting your business.
Mhm.
What would you say to a guy who's just going to go on the internet and type in operating agreement and then plug and play and just use that? This is our operating agreement.
Yeah.
What would you tell that guy?
It would be easy for me at this moment to just completely trash that process and
Come on,
say,
it's a little
"Oh
trash."
man, I went to law school, I know everything, and nothing on the internet is good." But it's better than not having anything
Okay.
in place. The problem is that you don't know what tag-along rights are, drag-along rights, rights of first refusal. You need the expertise
Right.
to help you with most of those documents. There's a few things you can get, like a non-disclosure agreement online, and
Right.
it's probably gonna be good enough.
Yeah, but an NDA is a lot different than an operating agreement.
A lot
So,
different.
right.
So LegalZoom, whomever else is out there, they're making a lot of money. They're not going away, and sometimes I think they can be helpful, but it's a big risk to have to work. It's really your time. You spend 4 years on a business. That's 4 years you're not getting back, to turn around and have to go through a big fight where it
Right.
may not even be protected, and you wasted all that time. Is a few $1,000s worth a few years? I mean, are you kidding me? That's a no-brainer. So we're not talking about $20,000 to get up and running
Right.
with your legal documents.
Right.
You don't have to spend that kind of money.
Right. So it's just like in immigration. I'm like, hey, come to me first, versus somebody else messing up your paperwork, and then you come to me and you have this big problem and everybody's
It's harder
crying.
to fix it.
Right. Exactly. Brett, thank you, man. Thank you for
Thank
breaking
you.
that down for America and those business owners who are going to kill it. And we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
This
Thanks
is
for having
Ask a
me.
Lawyer. This is Brett Trembly, Trembly Law Firm here in beautiful Dadeland area, and we'll see you next time.